Okay, I just got it turned here too. All right, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call to order tonight's BOS meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is consent agenda. Do I have any board comment? Any public comment?
I move we adopt the consent agenda with the
A second?
Second.
So should pass that. Any public comment?
Alex was there.
Someone pop in.
Alex.
Alice did. Okay. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
If you can hear me.
Yep. All opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to board motions, presentations, and resolutions. Public Works Appreciation Snow. Done.
I just want to take a moment to thank them publicly and let you all and the community know those storms are very difficult on us, the long ones in particular. So you don't have the luxury of multiple crews. It's one small crew. They don't live locally, so they can't go home. It's tough to travel during the storm. So the pattern you've fallen into is they come in the beginning and they stay till the end. They rest and sleep during it. But it's a long day, long night. This storm in particular had that profile. They were in midnight Saturday night. They kept it passable during the day, taking breaks, eating meals when they can. The snow stopped around 8, and then that's when the work begins, because that's when the most of the progress happens. So they were at about 1 o'clock on Monday morning, went home for a few hours, back at it the next day at the start of the work day, and worked through the end of the work day. So a long day to get the streets to the point where they're safe when everybody got up Monday morning and they went to work, but it took a lot of work behind the scenes. So I just wanted to, I know you're appreciative of it. I know I'm appreciative of it. So I just wanted to take a moment so we could, all respect and appreciate that together. It doesn't just happen. It's not accidental. It only happens because they commit to it. So we have to be appreciative that they've committed to that. So that's really it. I just wanted to take that opportunity, and I'm glad you let us do that.
Yeah, thank you. And as well, I reached out to you. I had heard from several people who were very impressed with East Town's roads. Heard someone from Radnor who works in their public works who even commented on how well they had done, how the roads were. So excellent job. Thank you to staff and everyone that helped put that together. So it was wonderful. It was a tough storm, especially with that snow creek that started to come around after the rain and ice and everything. So thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the pension plan investment policy adjustments.
Yeah, these are relatively minor and administrative. So we meet quarterly. The chair of we meet quarterly. The advisor presented the changes that I would characterize as small and administrative. So they fit into 2 categories. One is the adjustment of terms and definitions just to reflect market changes over the last decade and a half. And then there's a minor adjustment to the weighting of the different classes. So your packet has the agreement or the policy that was passed by the board, Circuit 14, the changes to the policy, and then the memo prepared by the pension advisor, PFN, describing the reasoning behind the changes. My characterization is they fit into 2 categories: the minor adjustments to the weighting and the distribution, and then the change in definitions and terms. So we would need you to approve that. If you approve them, you'd be approving the 2 addendums, the addendum to the police plan, the addendum to the non-uniform plan. Pension work group met, discussed it. Pension work group met a second time and made a recommendation that you proceed with the changes as recommended by PFN.
Is there any board comment?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Is there any public comment? No. Okay. Motion to accept it. I'll make a motion to approve the addendums, the police pension and non-uniform pension to the investment policy. For a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on. to The liquid fuels paving program 2026.
Joe, will you take us through this one, please?
Thank you. Yes, so attached in your packet is a list of roads and the cost estimate associated with the 2026 road program. So in blue are the roads we're anticipating to do, and in orange are 4 pump station driveways that are in disrepair that would basically piggyback on the unit cost of the road program and be paid through Fund 63 through the EMA. Budget for this year is $320,000 for the items in blue, which are the roads, and again, the pump stations are separate as an alternate.
So is that pretty much in line with consistently what it's been? See an increase in decrease?
Last year, our budget, I believe, was $420,000. We reduced it this year, but we get around $380,000, I believe, from the state last year. So we're back and forth in that range of where we want to be.
You're just trying to match it to the contribution. You had a couple of years where you couldn't spend it fast enough. The pricing was good and you weren't buying salt. So you build up a little bit of a surplus. Last year you spent that down. So this is probably a decent target amount for you each year, unless the liquid fuels contribution is that. Right.
Why are we doing the pump stations? They're just old, they just decayed over time.
Yes.
Yes, Millbrook especially, that's where it started. That was on one of our capital items to do. And then just in conjunction with the sewer crew being there every day, they had a list of other ones that really need to be done. So if we can get a unit cost that's a quarter of what it will cost for our regular road repair contract, not the road program, would be beneficial to get it done at the better unit cost if we can do that.
Right, you may have said this, are we paying for this out of these, the sewer fees?
Fund 63
Yes,
for the
yes,
EMA,
okay.
yes.
Just using this as the mechanism to get good pricing.
Okay, is there any other board comment? Or any public comment?
Some kind of motion to approve the plan as presented by Joe.
Okay, so I'll make a motion authorizing the staff to prepare, advertise, accept bids in order to implement the township.
I'll second.
Road program. Thank you, Alex. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You good, Alex?
Aye, I was muted.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to the UCC Board of Appeals addendum.
Okay, this one came to you from Malvern. Malvern is asking, you're in a joint board for challenges to the Uniform Construction Code, that's your building code. It's a board that haven't met during the 9 years that I've worked here. Malvern was interested in expanding the scope of that board to also be a hearing board for issues associated with the International Property Maintenance Code. You haven't adopted the International Property Maintenance Code, so it's kind of neutral to you. It doesn't matter. It won't really affect you. So this is before you because it's a request from Malvern, and East Whiteland has indicated its willingness to comply. So they prepared that addendum, which would be the addendum to the agreement that created the joint board. And they're asking you to approve that, which would mean the joint board would then oversee or have jurisdiction to hear challenges to the International Property Maintenance Code. The only beef I have with it is if you ever decided you wanted to adopt the International Property Maintenance Code, this isn't, I wouldn't set up at a joint board to have hearings, I'd have the board of supervisors hear the appeal. But it isn't what they want and it doesn't adversely affect you. So it's, it's got elements of discretionary. You don't have to do it. It's before you because it's a request from Malvern and East Royal.
Can you just explain to me further, what the International Property Maintenance Code does?
So, distinctions, it's aligned to property maintenance, obviously. You have captured property maintenance and other aspects of the code. The International Property Maintenance Code certainly allows you to be more internal with the property, so, things like, from my experience with it, things like, the smoke alarms, the height of the railings, for the stairwell, things of that sort. So you don't have that, your jurisdiction does not extend into the innards of the property. You have the components, many property maintenance components embedded in other attributes of the code. Andy, anything to add to that? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think past boards and your code shows that legislatively, Easttown is focused on what I describe as critical health and safety items. So there's a hole in the roof. There's water intrusion, structural risk apparent from the outside. Those kinds of things you already address. Property maintenance code, some municipalities use it, some don't, is very granular. And sometimes can be as granular as a neighbor complaining that your next door neighbor's not painting their house, that kind of thing. So because of that, I think Easttown has said, we're not adopting that code. And we'll just deal with the health and safety issues in our own Easttown code. So as long as that remains the case, I think what the Joint Appeals Board is doing won't impact you at all. The main purpose of that appeals board is really with Uniform Construction Code appeals where, as Don mentioned in his memo, they are so rare that it's a lot more effective to have a joint municipal appeals board because you're more likely to be able to find the experts to staff the appeals board. So at least currently what they want to do is no impact on you.
Okay.
If you wanted to adopt that property maintenance code down the road, I think you might tell the joint board that you're going to do that on your own. And you'd ask them to probably pass a mirror resolution to what's being approved now just to carve you out. But it seemed like more work than necessary today for hypothetical since you don't have it.
Andy, can't this possibly throw us out of balance though? We don't have the code adopted as part of our township, ordinances and codes that we already have defined, the International Plumbing Code, International Mechanical Code, all the other codes and subcodes that are already identified within our code. And then there's this UCC board that may adopt a code that we don't have as part of our township. Doesn't that just because we already have ordinances that define grass cutting and all this type of stuff, I'm just afraid that there's going to be a conflict. And I understand what you're saying. There are different types of jurisdictions, but doesn't it just kind of throw us out of balance and lead us into a contradiction at some point?
Yeah, I think at least the way that board is set up, it's only for appeals from the applicable codes in your township. So the only time in Easttown something would go to that appeals board is if there was an appeal from the codes that you do have, standard ones that everybody. So that appeals board doesn't have any additional jurisdiction over your stuff other than the uniform codes that you adopted.
Some of the disconnect, Alex, could be that if Malvern uses it, someone from Easttown is sitting at the session directing the person in Malvern to apply the code. But there's no intention or expectation that the code would become applicable to Easttown.
So if we were to adopt the ordinance, we're not likely to run into a situation where we have finger pointing between, well, this says this or that says that, right?
No, I don't think that's the issue. I don't think
Okay.
there'd be no expectation. The only way you would enforce or use the property maintenance code is if you adopted it, which isn't that issue today.
Okay.
And these joint appeal boards, I actually sat with one in another part of the county a few months ago. It's the first time I've watched that board in 20 years. And it was a fire company expansion, and the question was how the overnight sleeping quarters apply under the UCC. So it had 3 members, it's sort of similar to this. They come from wherever the joint board can get people to be willing to serve. But when they're sitting with that joint board, they're just hearing that specific codes case before them. They're not acting on behalf of the individual townships. They're just hearing the appeal.
And you see this as just positive for Easttown or just something that if it happens, it's something it's good to have.
Right now, I see it as neutral and sort of as a member of the joint board, as a courtesy to the other municipalities who have this code. That right now they're looking for a place where those appeals should go. So that they don't have to create their own boards.
All right, any other board comment?
I guess it's low risk, so I'd be fine with adopting it.
Is there any public comment? No. Yes, all right, so. Is there a motion to approve the addendum to, I guess, make Easttown part of Uniform Construction Code Joint Board of Appeals with Malvern and East Whiteland?
I will make the motion to approve the addendum.
Second.
On favor, approving the addendum, say aye. Okay. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to 2026 mowing agreement renewal, Green Ridge Landscaping Co-Stars.
John, talk to you about that one.
So this is our annual agreement. Green Ridge Landscaping has been our provider for the last 4 or 5 years. Generally, we like the services they provide. They are co-stars, so we are able to directly contract with them. And all of their rates are actually the same as last year for their per unit rates. Because co-stars do not adjust their per unit rates. So for every service they provide, there's just an hourly rate that co-stars sets. A riding mower of X size, X cc engine sort of thing. So our recommendation is to move ahead with the 2026 mowing agreement. They put in every pump station, all the locations that we mow. We also have a conversation with them that there are certain ones we're likely to pull out now that we have a public works laborer. So there's certain ones where it'll be more cost effective. We'll have somebody at one of the pump stations and it's very minimal trimming at some of them. So they're totally amenable to adjusting what it is they're doing, but this is the sort of not to exceed. If they mowed everything on the cycle that they normally would have, this covers your mowing schedule for the year, plus the cleanups and everything else that's always built in.
It's great to hear also that the prices stay the same too.
Yeah, we're happy to see that. And it's logical that, mowing shouldn't have changed in a unit cost in the last year. So one of the rare items, I guess.
Is there any board comment?
Sounds good.
Public comment? No. I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 mowing agreement renewal with Green Ridge Landscaping. That's second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to the resolution regarding transfer funds from the spare fund to the general fund.
Sure, I'll describe this one for you. So you have an escrow fund. It's a bit of a misnomer. It's largely historically been used as a security deposit fund, not as an escrow fund. We've made some changes, or together we made changes. So one of them is we now operate it as an escrow fund. So it's not just the security deposit, it's you were fronting the developers and the applicants the reimbursement money. Now they pay up front and then they cover your costs from the escrow. The second change is the collection. You had gotten behind in the collection. You got ahead in your steady state now. The third is the reporting, so we're reporting it in a conventional, just the revenue shows up as revenue, the expense shows up as expense. It had either been not reported or, you know, expenses reported as negative revenues, which all balances out, but that only reports the net. Now we let you see the actual activity. The fourth change is we evaluated the balance in the fund. So the fund had grown to a balance of almost 1.2 million. And we compared that against the amount of money in active projects. The fund is decades old. So we have probably $750,000 in cash earmarked from it for active projects. So that means that there's about $350,000 of it that is orphaned, that's been there for decades. It shouldn't just sit there idly. It should, you know, should become part of the public money. So the resolution allows you to transfer, you know, we picked 325,000, that's a comfortable amount. Transfer that to the general fund, it just goes to general fund use. There'll be no action to it, it just becomes available to you in the future. And then we would probably revisit this exercise next year, looking at other permits that have expired. So some of the permits in your system are approaching a decade old. And you know, there isn't real likelihood that those are going to be continued, sort of thing. So very comfortable with the 325 amount, very low risk, and ultimately that's where the money should go.
The memo says 347, 233.
347 is the exact amount.
Right.
The 325 is just a comfortable amount below the exact amount. So
You're
it could be 347 if you wanted, but my intention was to transfer 325 and then revisit this in
okay.
another year or so.
Yeah.
And the idea is, like, there is no risk to you because you're not spending the money. If someone then said, "Hey, wait a minute, here are the records, you owe me $3,000 from 2010, you presumably would pay them. This transfer won't affect that. So there's an element of move cautiously, move slowly. That's why we picked the 325 instead of larger amount.
And it will likely get smaller every year. This is the sort of result of a lot of legwork of an investigation by the township, making it clear that there's no evidence that this money belongs to any applicant. So anywhere where there's a known applicant and a refund due, that money gets returned. And going forward, like Don said, it's very clean. So what you really have here most likely is over decades, maybe people who got out in front and did not provide the final reimbursement. In other words, they were under on what they owed as a total, never got their permits cleared. So anywhere where the township's been able to find refunds due, they've given that. So this is sort of money that over time, after full investigation, it doesn't belong to anybody. So you're not going to send that money to the state and say, you know, we think Mr. Smith is owed $2,000 because the township's already done all that. So it's a safe bet with this amount to put it over into the general fund. So you're not, in another 20 years, you don't have staff trying to unwind another mystery, basically.
And then we'll probably do this again one more time, but then I don't anticipate you'll need to do it ever again because the circumstance that created this has been eliminated. So we are already at steady state. We're already we've corrected it. It's not happening anymore. We just can't control the money that's decades old.
Right, so next year says 24,253, you would move that exact amount.
Probably, there's this amount, that 347 is active permits through 2018. So at some point, we will look at the 18, 19, and 20 permits that will be 7 years old and, with your input, make a determination as to the validity of those and then transfer over an exact amount and then probably be done.
Is there any other board comment? Is there any public comment? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer of money from the escrow fund to, you need to say the exact amount?
Yeah, I think if you just reference not that whole amount, but the 325 is what you're authorizing. to go to
The
general.
325,000 from escrow to the general fund.
Second.
All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to no reports. Who wants to pull out? Report comment on any?
I have a question about the CHP. They approve very steep slope. Construction on or disturbance. On very steep slopes of the. Like, why would they do
On
that?
the Sugartown Road,
Leopard.
Leopard and Sugartown.
Yeah, I think the ZHP, no one can speak for them, they have to speak for themselves, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I would, even if I'm familiar with it, I was following it, I've
Is
had,
that the stone house on the corner?
but I don't have any insight on it.
Yeah, I mean,
They did a very steep.
like we put in rules to stop bad things from happening. And they can just ignore that and let bad things happen. This is the way I see this,
Okay.
right? Because it's a steep slope, right? And they're disturbing it. And why do we have rules, I shouldn't say laws against, disturbing steep slopes?
I know from the PC that it's sort of a tough property, it's sort of a difficult.
Yes, it had unique attributes. for sure.
Right, but when they bought the property, it had those unique attributes. Right?
Yeah, so.
So I don't buy that argument at all.
Yeah, they would have had to break one of the rules to build the house, because where if they didn't push the house, if they push the house one way, they break one rule, if they push the house the other way, they break another.
So because I want to is a reason to, what was their hardship?
You have to put that one in the
Yeah.
ZHP. It's bad practice for someone to try to summarize someone else's
Right.
reasoning.
Okay.
So, the process, I can speak to, the process was sound and public.
Is this the site of the fire?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I also think, again, I'm not opining on what the ZHB did, but where that house is today, I think would violate a lot of your modern setbacks and requirements. So I think the question is, how do you rebuild the house after the fire on that site?
Yes, that was the
And the
logic
driveway.
that brought it.
Right.
Driveway access was all.
And then now I'm going from memory, which is very, so I'm not, but I think there were some that the slopes were synthetic slopes built to grade the pool, at least some of them. And so they're pushing the house where that structure was, so.
And most zoning hearing boards often take a later view of a man-made created steep slope rather than a natural condition.
So I'm not speaking to it, speaking against it, it was,
It's all right.
I can tell you that the process was sound. They followed the full array of rules that you put upon, follow
But they did, I mean, they followed
the procedure.
the
Yeah.
procedure, they just violated the rule that we put in place to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so the zoning hearing board by definition is that, right?
Right,
So
I
the
guess.
zoning hearing board exists to do what you are opposing it. to do.
Right, I oppose the zoning hearing board. So-
Yeah, so you're not opposing the decision, you're opposing the process of having a zoning hearing board. They are tasked to evaluate the individual circumstance, and they're always choosing between options.
And based on my analysis of their cases, they just always approve it. In the past, I can't say, I looked at them from 2016 to 2021, and they approved everything but one request in that time frame. So whenever I see an approval, it just infuriates me. particularly this, right? It's a steep slope, and it shouldn't be disturbed. And then we're gonna get somebody come in here and complain about water, which could be because of this disturbance. What are we gonna say? You know? Okay, I said my piece on that. Go.
I was gonna bring up this geographic names. Just a question, are they asking East Town for just our input?
I think so. I'm gonna let Andy describe this one because it's got enough complication to it.
Seems a little odd.
Seems like we don't really have to do anything.
Correct, you do not have to take a position. And I would say about 2 years ago now, there was an advocacy group looking to take the stream. I think East Town's only question at that time was, has Waynesboro Country Club been approached? Because as far as we can tell, the stream exists almost entirely, if not entirely, within Waynesboro Country Club bounds. So we said the logical question is, does the country club have a position? At that time, they hadn't been approached. And I think East Town's only administrative comment is you would expect that the landowner were approached. And I think the federal processors have asked that same question of the applicant. I'm not sure what the answer is or whether the country club has been involved, but given that it's not a stream that runs through the entire township or multiple properties, it seems closer to a private question between the landowner and the applicant. So at least thus far, the township hasn't taken any formal positions. And I think at least 2 years ago, the general view was, given what we know, is that it shouldn't. But that is ultimately up to the board. If you wanted to do something other than what the administrative path has been, which is just our only input is the property owner ought to be notified, and the Fed said that's part of the process.
Okay. 'Cause I had tried to look this up just to see if it was a golf term. I couldn't find it.
That has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
But I don't think we should get involved.
no, I'm not disagreeing. I was just trying to look it up and see, like,
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Now there's other stuff going on here.
Yeah.
It sounds historical, isn't it? What was the name of it? They wanted to name it?
Lead shot.
Let's try.
So I looked it up and I couldn't find anything related to golf. I was like Googling it like crazy.
No, it's because they do the clay shooting there.
Well, it's supposed to, they said it was a golf term.
Somebody
No.
told us that said it was. I don't know.
I don't even know.
It was it was in the email a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
I
whenever
read that.
came
It
in.
said it had something to do with golf.
Right, but that was somebody else telling us that they said that. That wasn't,
Oh, that was someone else who said that?
that was somebody advocating the Waynesboro's viewpoint to us. Who said that it's not a golf,
Or it's a federal program that administers.
Yes,
Right.
it's up to
No,
tell
they
who
were
that
advocating.
case.
Yeah, that's what I was having trouble.
But it does, I did see I did interpret the person from the federal government saying the proponent chose the name Lead Shot
Yeah.
as some kind of homage to shooting.
So, I feel it's none of our,
I'm not disagreeing. Okay.
I have a couple more questions.
Good.
Okay. On, John, the historical commission. They're doing an RFP for their, review of the historical sites and things.
Yes,
Will we get a say in that? Like, will we get to review it before it gets approved, or is it just purely up to them at this point?
it was you voted and approved it last month, or the BOS last month. So then you're back.
We approved the budget.
You
last
approved
year.
the RFP.
Okay,
Yes, there'll be a vote on the award of the consultant
Right.
that's chosen.
Right.
Um,
we'll vote on that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. That's what this
yeah,
was.
there'll be a formal process of
Okay.
awarding assuming that we have an applicant that we like, that makes it through all the vetting, so.
And the ultimate work product, that is a modernized roster
Yes.
of historic properties that also eventually comes to.
Yeah, there'll be many touch points during the process, but before it's actually awarded, that will be on your, and that's why there's somewhat aggressive schedule to try to line up with your meetings to get it launched. And give them basically the full summer of warm, nice weather to knock these out.
Okay, good, okay, that's, I'm sorry, that's it. That's all my questions.
Any other board comment? Any public comment?
Yeah, I got one other comment. I'm sorry. Jonathan's report, the Parks and Rec Board. One of the things is that they want to move the summer concert series, and they're exploring one at Johnson Park and one in the core business district. Curious about that. I know nothing's set in stone. They're exploring it, but is the thought to have it like where the Berwyn Farmers Market is? Is the thought maybe closing down traffic on some of the streets or something? What are they talking about?
So they're exploring the location of the farmer's market, yes, that's one of the sites. We were talking with the owner of that property. And it seemed like it would be a good central core location. It would involve a few more logistics, and that's what we're working out, but we thought it'd bring families to your business district, and to some of your businesses, so that's where we're sketching it out right now. That'll be hopefully vetted out by next month. In terms of the location.
Cool.
That sounds great.
Interested to
I
hear.
like it.
Yeah,
The July 4th picnic just works out great, so anything we can do like that.
Yeah, no changes to that we're looking to do, rinse and repeat, and just making some tweaks, because we're just trying to get the right number of
Yeah,
audience
yeah.
numbers for the concerts. Making adjustments.
great. Any other comment? As I said, no public comment. Okay. Moving on to regular business, 2026 capital borrowing.
Yeah, I'll lead you through that one if it's okay. Okay, so, we're moving from general to particular with it, and each step we take, we seem to have filling in more particulars, which is appropriate. So, the first item is, that's the path at the amount, that 18.2. Probably gonna come up a little bit, there's a little bit more EMA money in there. But basically three projects, the building, the sidewalk at Beaumont, so that you have that cash available to proceed with it. And then the array of sewer projects, so everything has to be sort of, I don't wanna call it shovel ready, but you borrow money for specific projects, you don't borrow for general concepts. So that targets it's the target amount, it'll be refined over the next few months, go up and down, and then you have to keep that, you still have some uncertainty, fire and EMS is your biggest uncertainty. Second item is the borrowing team, so we aspire to use the same team that you've traditionally used. The underwriter assembled a little narrative or a little summary of that team. Those are all people that you used before. The one firm is a different firm, it's the same people, so that's the bond counsel. Barnes and Thornburg is a different firm, it's the same people that you've done before. The third item is the schedule, so the underwriter was at the EMA last week. My expectation is that the underwriter will come to you either in March or April. Then at that point, it's logistics. Once you give the underwriter the go, it's the people on the team create the documents. Then it's before you for a public vote. And then it's again behind the scenes. So that's roughly the schedule. The limiting factor at the moment seems to be the audit. So none of this can happen until the 2024 audit is finished. They're working at it now. We expect it to be finished in line with the schedule, but that's the limiting factor at the moment. Fourth item is the advisor. So you have traditionally not used an advisor, and the reasoning is it's sort of like a realtor, that if you have people you trust, you can go with that team. You'd have relatively small issues in the past, so you haven't used an advisor. This one's larger. I don't know, it's something to think about. I never mind having somebody who does this all the time looking over it on your behalf. I would characterize it sort of like insurance, the team that you assembled, those are trusted agents that you've been with a while. Something to think about, whether you want to have an advisor.
What's the cost of it?
I think it's gonna be circa like 15 to 20,000. They're paid out of bond proceeds, and it's a single amount clearly specified. But I got some budgetary prices from somebody, and that was the number that he had given me. And then the third item is the form. Those are some logistics. One logistic is that traditionally the EMA has issued the bonds and you have guaranteed the bonds. The underwriter is recommending that you do this one differently and that you issue the bonds and simply provide the money to the EMA. It's seamless from the EMA's perspective. It's seamless from your perspective. It's the internals of the experts who will write the documents to do that. And if you had issue with that, or you wanted more elaboration, put that to the underwriter either next month or in March. EMA had no issue with it.
I think it makes perfect sense. What's the point of then issuing bonds that we guarantee?
Yeah, and he says it's more the norm in the scenario, and this is an extension of the conversation that you've had here every time you've issued bonds. This had come up. Every time the EMA had issued bonds, you've come up that they're really not issuing the bonds, you're really issuing the bonds. So those are the 5 issues at the moment. The one action, the one takeaway is we think it's advisable that you approve the borrowing team. Because they're gonna start working on it pretty soon. That's a choice, that's for you. You can have anybody you want. That's the team that you've used in the past. It's a team of trusted agents.
In the packet, that's a single sheet from your underwriter. It's called the working group list. And at least in my version of the packet, I think it's page 234 of your packet. So other than your normal township staff and your township solicitor for my office, the authority solicitor from Buckley Bryan, it's really bond counsel, which is proposed as Barnes and Thornburg, the underwriter who we mentioned, Stiefel, the paying agent, which is US Bank and Trust, Pliget as your investment advisor, and S&P as your ratings group. So if you were to move forward, it would be to approve that working group list. I think that's the only thing staff is looking for tonight. Procedurally, I understand from Mr. Wasey that he would like to announce a recusal on the bond counsel vote. So I'd suggest that if you want to approve the working group list, we do it in 2 parts. That there's a motion on bond counsel, if you would like. So Michael can recuse and announce the reason. And then the entire board can just consider the rest of the working list. If that makes sense.
That does.
And I do want to explain the role of Pliget in this. So as the money moves electronically, it goes to the bank, and then from the bank it goes to Pliget, and then we pull it over as we use it, so that it allows us to put all the transactions into your accounting system. Alternatively, we petition you can petition the bank, but then each transaction is not in your accounting system. So it would have been done the other way, where you weren't using Pliget as an intermediary. With the fire fund, we did it this way so that we can put the money in, we can control the transactions in your accounting system. It works out pretty well. The money sits in Pliget, it earns interest at the Pliget rate. Pliget is user-friendly in that regard, and then we transfer over the amounts week by week as we need it. So unless you tell us otherwise, we would continue that way.
Under that role, I would say Pliget's are the custodian,
Well,
not the advisor.
Pliget is it's a distinct term, so they're not the and the agent can, or the underwriter can tell you this, they're not the paying agent.
Right.
And they're not the advisor, because the advisor is a fiduciary telling you about how to do it. In Ed's term, Ed Murray is the underwriter. He's got advisor and administrator, so I would call Pliget the administrator, you don't have an advisor on this.
Well,
And so that's one we had talked about. Maybe this is a good one a question that you can put to ECAC. They can look at it first week in March and tell you whether they think it's advisable.
Because on the paperwork, it has Pliget listed as the
Well,
advisor.
Pliget is not the,
they're not the
you're
advisor.
not the advisor, so.
They're the custodian, they.
Yeah, I
they're
would call
trusted
them,
with
I would
it.
call them administrator, and as it says advisor and administrator, but they're not giving you advice on the sort of things that an advisor would.
So if the board wanted, we mentioned motion one would be for bond counsel, and then motion two would be the working group list, I think with the edit that Pliget is only recognized as the administrator.
Okay. All right, so. Is there any other board comment?
And I have one question.
Yeah.
We had discussed the idea of. Redeeming the outstanding EMA funds and paying them off with this, which would net that be zero,
Yeah,
right?
that's on the, in the underwriter's, toolbox at the
But it's not
moment.
listed here.
Well, it's the same, yeah, it's not listed because it's not,
It really have no impact in this sense.
on this team, so it's, all that the underwriter would do is he would liquidate those, and then you would reissue them.
Okay.
So, but he'll talk to you about that when he comes in. That's on his list of things to talk to you about.
Yeah, you wouldn't be approving anything else in that packet,
Right. I'm just
other
looking.
than the
yeah,
working group list.
Right,
The rest of
absolutely.
that is sort of a pro forma.
Yeah, but item number one listed, but that's got a lot of details. It doesn't say anything about that. Articles.
It could have, that came up relatively late, probably before I wrote
Okay.
that, but that's part of what, when the underwriter comes to you, he'll have those sort of things and you'll hear them from him, not from me.
Good.
And you'll have to want to do that, you know, like that was the way he was presented. Do you want to do that?
Mhm.
And so he will put that to you.
Is Alex still on?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay,
Yes.
good. I saw one disappear. I was like, I guess it's not. Yeah, there it is. Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion to first approve the bond council for the borrowing team. Second,
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna recuse myself from this because I have a business relationship with them. So wouldn't be right.
okay. Any what comment about that? Okay, all in favor of approving bond council, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it.
So that's 3-0 and Mr. Wacy recusing. And under the Ethics Act, Michael will fill out, we have a standard Eastern form explaining the reason for the recusal, and that'll become part of it.
Are we supposed to make him sit in the audience for that? Can we do that again?
Okay, also make a motion to approve the borrowing team with the exception of Pliget not being the advisor, but only the administrator. That's a second on that.
Second.
Do I have any public comment? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
And unless you think otherwise, Michael, good idea to go to ECAC with the advisor question. It seemed like a pretty, yeah. So we'll do that. We'll come back to you in March with having vetted that at ECAC.
Great. Okay, moving on to the mural arts. Stacy's here to talk more about that, I believe. Is it? Yeah, it's okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't something separate. So we had talked, Stacy and I had talked about, and she had talked last time about a joint working together to put together a mural for 250. And we discussed an idea that would encompass the Berwyn school fight, which I thought was an amazing idea. Stacey, I had one question before we started. You had posted another building on Lancaster Avenue. There was a building that you had said mural.
Yeah, it's too small.
It's too small. Okay.
There's one in Lancaster, it's down by Neo Deli,
Okay.
and it's on the side of the building. And
Okay.
it's not as prominent as,
I just wanted to make sure.
yeah, no, for sure. I feel like because Waterloo is a state road, there is so much traffic on that. And as you're coming north on Waterloo, you see this whole side of the building. It really is an impressive location, I think.
And you had sent to us kind of an outline of a process to go through. So I just wanted to give you some time to talk about that. And then also we had talked about discussing it with our African American community leaders as well about their opinions on this and what they thought.
Sure thing. So I did provide for you kind of what our mural process has been. From identifying the location, taking measurements, taking pictures. Typically, there are times when we will provide a prompt, and the prompt could be something as simple as we would like a mural that's interactive, or in this case, it's very specific to the Berwyn school fight. And so, I gave you a suggested prompt on that with a link that goes to the Tredyffrin Easttown Historic Society page that is an actual article on the Berwyn school fight. Please provide a sketch rendering. Typically, the first sketch rendering is a very rough draft, or it can even be call it AI produced, but it's very, cut and paste, just to give graphics, to give an idea of how that would look. To get a good sketch, typically you are paying them part of the fee to when you've made the decision on the artist that you like. Then you would pay an actual fee to have them work on a very detailed sketch that can be adjusted and changed as needed to what your preferences are. So we typically advertise this on social media. We have started rolling out some of our murals for 2026, and we've already gotten people with submissions in for some of those murals. And then once we get those in, we usually have a board meeting and talk about what the submissions are. So submissions will include their portfolio, a descriptor of what they're intending. Sometimes it will have this kind of rough sketch or a mood board, which shows things that kind of give what they're thinking about. Then we would work out mapping out how that image would look, and a final rendering would get approved by all of us. And then we would give them a deposit to start, and then we would get the then we usually do the legwork in prepping the surface and getting a lift and making sure that everything's available to them. And I put in there what the payments would be. The township could pay their portion out of it directly out of the township fund and make a check to that artist. You could funnel that money through the Mural Arts Board, but it doesn't really matter, and I don't care. We can do it either way. I have talked to several people. I've talked to some folks at the school district. I have talked to Miss Bertha Jackman, who is very active in the Black community, and asked her to connect me with some families and images. She was, I think, very pleased and excited that this was being considered and that the location, she didn't know which building I was talking about. But when I described this will be the biggest mural we will have done, and it will be in a very prominent location, especially because of the type of traffic that happens in Waterloo, she was thrilled. And so we're going to try to reach out to some of the families that would have been involved in that and see if they have any old pictures of their family and the children, so we can use those images and include those. And I did talk with Roger Thorne, who wrote the article for the Historic Society, and he provided a few pictures, but he said there's not a lot. So we have a couple of these. We have some pictures of these ladies that were children at that time. So the hope is to reach out and be able to get images like this of this man who, chose to go to jail before he would pay a fee or a fine and send his kids to school. So, you know, there are, and then acknowledge who those people are on the mural. So I guess the question is, you know, is that something that the board is interested in supporting this year? And then, you know, we can move forward with that process, or do you have questions about the process that we put out there, which is how we did it last year, how we're doing it this year?
One question I'd like to ask, or I could bring up this, I know when we did the dedication at Primus Crosby's, descendants were there. Very excited, took lots of pictures. And I'm assuming that we would also bring in Oscar Torres and
Yes.
Miss Penny Washington.
Yes.
And even hopefully Miss Esther.
Yes,
who's
it would be
100
nice
years
to
old.
be able to include all and everyone that wants to be part
Yes.
of that in especially, like I said, especially they may have images that can be really valuable, because quite honestly, I don't want to put up a generic, you know, Black family on this when we have actual pictures of people who are our community members that fought in that fight. They
Yeah.
should be honored on that. So that's actually very important to us, and so that's going to be part of the research and in working with getting the images that can be incorporated.
Great.
Stacy, I have a process question.
Yeah.
Is $12,000 about the market rate for a mural of this size? The reason I ask is because the ones that I've worked on in the past, they're usually giant murals with like the Public Art Fund in New York City, so they have, you know, much larger in scope and much bigger dollar figures. I don't really know what the going rate is for something of this size. Is this about, you know,
No.
accurate?
The scope of that work project will be probably $45,000 to $50,000.
Okay, so this would just be Easttown's portion?
That East Towns portion that was requested was 12,000.
Okay. And who's funding the rest?
Ida will fund the rest through the Mural Arts Board. It's possible, and I need to talk with the Historic Society to see if they would be interested. And I have some other businesses and other local charitable organizations that we want to see if we can pull money together and really make this a collaborative community event.
Okay. Yeah. That probably sounds a little more reasonable. $50,000 for something in this scale just seems to pass the sniff test for it. I was just curious if $12,000 was
Yep.
going to meet the mark for something of this size and scale and, you know, time investment that would be required of an artist. So that probably sounds more fair. Let us know, please, what happens with the rest of the funding. Like I appreciate we have a portion of this, but I'd be interested to know the rest of the players and stakeholders that'll be involved with funding this as well.
Sure.
I just say I'm fully in favor of this. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to bring our African American community members in and recognize something that they felt was so forgotten for so long and ignored. And it's great to hear that they're so excited about this, and I appreciate all you're doing to reach out to them. So that's what I say. And
Yeah, I agree totally. I think it's a great project.
Yes, I 100% behind it. I just hope we're not missing out. There's not somebody we should be talking to, we're not talking to. So like all the right people.
We're gonna try to put it out and try to reach as many people, and, you know, there's always someone who isn't
Right.
on
Yes.
social media or isn't, and didn't talk to the right person, and we're gonna do our best.
I will say, Michael, that when the school district did their recognition and did a lot of work, they really, and I know that Stacy's working with the school district, Oscar Torres especially, who was really at the forefront of this. And with Miss Penny and Bertha and Miss Esther, who's the last surviving child, that they really like have a good group that they know
Yeah.
of, and they've gone.
Okay. So
You know,
people know.
Yeah.
People know the right people. to get
Yeah,
along.
and I think the school district especially is a great resource because they've just been so active in being at the forefront of this recognition.
Yeah.
So I love that we're going to be a part of this. I'm fully in favor.
Yeah, it's an emphatic yes for me as well. Stacy, another process question. Do we know if there are any nonprofits or anything in this area that can help assist with this process? Not that they would pay for it, but sometimes they help act as kind of a liaison between the artists. They help them respond to RFPs, make sure it looks professional enough that they have the right portfolio, and they can respond to these, RFPs or whatever we're putting out. in order to get their artwork out there a little bit better. So I just didn't know what the process is for that, or if it's just, kind of word of mouth connection, putting this out on the street.
No, it's actually, we have a 9-member, non-501c3 nonprofit board. Two of which are members are active artists, and mural artists that are in the Philadelphia community and known and active. So it is incredible, just the response and how much, and this is the time period when people are looking for the work that they're going to be doing through the summer and the fall. So it is, we seem to have figured out how to reach artists in the Philadelphia area.
Perfect. That answers my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Andy, do you have to make a motion support?
I think that's up to the board. I think the monetary value, I think staff had concluded that there are dollars in the budget to make that happen.
Yeah, there's always $12,000. So probably the biggest one is you have a miscellaneous in the general fund, so we would, yes, there's.
We just moved 320.
I was going to say, didn't we just find 325 grand like 40 minutes ago?
Yeah, I'm not gonna, it's all
We
good.
can make this even bigger if you want.
So I think it would be a motion, the one procedural note. In the last meeting, the focus was on a township-owned building. And now looking at 19 Waterloo Avenue. I was just looking prior to the meeting, under the second-class township code to figure out how you own something that is not yours that way. And the second-class township code does allow for contributions to nonprofit art corporations. It's section 1545 of the second-class township code. So when the time comes, as Ms. Ballard referenced, however that process works, we would just give it a last look to make sure we're doing it under the right code section.
And it can,
To
it
support
can be
the
either
events.
way, yeah.
So the motion would be to support to give the $12,000 to support the creation of the mural.
At 19 Waterloo Avenue, in support of local artistic and cultural activities. How's that?
So
Second.
are there any public comment?
Who owns the property?
Rita owns the
Oh,
property.
okay. So we don't have a
It makes it
property.
easier for
Yes.
approvals.
Okay, yes.
We know we have a cooperating landlord.
We have a cooperating landlord, yes.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thanks so much, Stacy.
Thank you very much. So hopefully you can think about it. It would be neat if we can do more of this going forward in future budgets. And I still have my eye on the Potter Avenue building for some sort of mural, maybe not this, obviously this subject matter, but something else. And you may want to think about it. And now that you've talked about it, you may start noticing more murals and more artists. And it's amazing how many are actually around. And especially in Berlin. So
Okay.
that's kind of a nice thing.
And I agree with your comment that people go out and find them, like in Philadelphia, there's murals all over the place and you
Yeah.
see them when you go down the street, you're like, well, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
So it'd be nice. I agree that it'd be nice to have one on the Potter Avenue building, even though it's a little out of the way.
They will find them, I'm telling you. As I said, we've put together on Izzy Travel so that if you have that app and you go to look around, you could potentially do a mural tour of the, Easttown Township and see all the different murals at different locations. And it would tell about the mural and the artist and whatever other interesting facts are available. Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay. Moving on to liaison work group reports. Stacy, just to say, I haven't heard anything about the Berlin Devon Business Association. Is there anything you want to add if you're here?
I just actually, yes, I just met with Tracy yesterday. And so we're they have been doing some, networking type meetings in collaboration with Wayne as well as Malvern and Paoli. All of the business associations are struggling with the same thing. The business association model of the 1990s is not what is needed now. So it becomes more of a community collaborative kind of like, how do you get people and how do you provide value? So now it becomes a little bit more of a marketing thing. We were talking about doing something, at one of our buildings in April. And I can let the board know, and it'd be great if you can come to something like that, and doing something to, bring businesses together. And also, we're going to hire a part-time person that can help with doing business highlights and more video and more outreach into the business community and, meet the new owners of BT or, that kind of thing, and have something that is posted online that's interesting, to the community. So,
Great, thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
Citizens Communication Advisory Board. And I know Eric usually has something.
Yeah, they have a survey, they're working through tangible things. Making practical impacts on stuff, so.
Okay.
All good, they're helping define the cadence, the content, and the channels, so. How you want those three things to operate.
It's great, thank you. ECAC?
I forgot to go, but I did hear a report that sounded, mostly talking about projects for this year and plans, so probably gonna get projects done.
EMA? Alex, you there?
Yes, EMA met. It was the bond fund that we already discussed today.
The EAC? EAC is that you, Alex? Is that Eric?
EAC, I think, is Eric.
Okay.
Then that, we'll meet again tomorrow night.
Okay.
Nothing, major coming out of it.
All right, finance work group.
We met on the 21st and mostly we're talking about the audit, how we're gonna get that working and processing. And the EIT, again, we're still watching it. I think it's coming in a little better than we expected, or expectations are a weird thing, but it's not bad at this point.
It came in $800,000 in a
January.
5-week period, 4-week period.
Great. T Fire Commission.
We met in January mostly, we met as a group in January, and we may report this, but we talked about organization stuff. Our first official meeting is next week.
Okay.
It's public, it's at the firehouse.
Great.
Come join it.
HC, I wasn't able to go, but I did speak to Glenn. It just seemed like they're still working on their historical, the assessment they're doing, all the.
Right, yeah, so the RFP was approved at their meeting last week. We went live last Friday with a due date in early March. So the RFP is out there. It's been sent to many of the associations that these types of consultants work with. So we try to scattershot it into the network.
Great.
But that was the main component of what they were discussing.
Okay, great. Library board met on the 28th. They were joined by Jennifer Pike, who is district office director for Representative Schusterman. They have this deeper literacy initiative. They're working with Paoli Hospital, or in conversation with Paoli Hospital, and Fourth Women's Wellness to support new parents with early literacy. They reported a high utilization of the library in the 2025 report, which no surprise. They had just recently did their meetings for the needs assessment, which I know that Michael, I think you attended. And Susan, you were there too? I couldn't make it, I'm sorry. But I understand that went really well. And they also they had Valentine's tea, which I'm assuming went well.
We had George Washington there. We used the America 250 theme. So when George came and visited the children and the families that were there, it was a nice day. Yeah.
Shredding events coming up on the 11th of April. They're doing a Coins for Currency fundraising event on the 18th of April with the guy in Wayne who's the coin guy. They're going to come in, people are going to bring in gold and things that they want to turn in, and then a percentage will go to the library. And Foundation reported a very strong 2025, so all very good news for the library. Is there anything you want to?
No, I think that, I mean, that covers it. I just would like to thank Susan and Michael for being at the needs assessment workshop last week. If it's okay, it was really nice to have supervisor representation there. Thank you. And the workshops went very well. The consultants that we're working with we're extremely happy with the feedback they got. And we'll continue to meet with them as we move through our needs assessment process. So it's an exciting time to be thinking about the future of the library. And to Sean's point, we had, just to not put too fine a point on it, but we had over 20,000 people attend programs last year at the library. So we're doing a great job. The staff there is incredible, and we just continue to try and bring what we can to the community and hopefully expand what we bring to the community. So.
And if you see the attachment, that was what Annie sent as well. So she likes this. She's been going to be sending me like just updates and things that's for the board to see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, really.
One thing that came out of that session when we were sitting around talking, that it's one of those things I should have known or I should have thought of, but I didn't. One was the library is like there's this whole thing about what it means to be human, right? And the being human means art and music and stuff, and the library is such a part of that. And I never really thought about that before. And then the second one was, it doesn't matter who you are, you can go to the library, right? You can be rich, poor, a convict who just got out of jail. Anybody is welcome at a library, which is rare in our country today. And I think it's great.
It's the great social equalizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So brings lots of things to everybody.
We'll always point out it's an important center of our community.
Thank you.
Parks and Rec Board.
Parks and Rec, we discussed the concert series. We talked about moving the concert to one of them at least or one more to Johnson Park, and maybe having one at where the farmers market is. And just whatever the Easter egg hunt and all the other events that they participate in or organize.
Great. Pension work group.
Met twice, reviewed the plan through Q4 and Q3 and Q4, and then reviewed the review.
Planning Commission.
Did meet.
Police work group.
We met on February 10th, and David's good. He's coming back, right? Sometime in March. The plan. Some officers are getting towards the end of their career, so we're gonna have to hire officers over the next few years. We need to plan for that. The county is replacing all the radios. There's a bunch of things about that, but the thing that excites me the most is now our officers will be able to talk to the officers in Radnor. Right?
Yeah, better communication.
Right. Yeah, if they want to talk to them now, they have to call the dispatch calls their dispatch, and then they talk to them. It's just crazy. Yeah, so this will be good.
That's great. Public Works work group.
Yes, we met. Did I take notes? I think I did. We met on February 11th. We discussed outside meters still up in the air. The whole meter water, outside meters for water, because that doesn't go through the sewer. How do we streamline that so the staff doesn't have to spend hours working on that? Still don't have a good solution yet. We talked about the road program that we approved today. MS4, and that's about it. We did have a discussion. One of my pet projects is shoveling the sidewalk, the walkway on the park. I heard again from people in the township that they can't use our park when it snows like it did. So they go to Tredeference Park, or they go to East Whiteland, not East Whiteland, somewhere. So I just think we should shovel our sidewalks, walkways in the park. I know there's issues and everything, but I think it's something we should think about doing. Not obviously we wouldn't do it this year. We'd have to budget for it in a future year. It's not going to be cheap, right? But we have parks, we should make them usable. So that's just me.
6 months.
Yes.
Stormwater Management Advisory Committee.
It was canceled.
It's canceled. Okay, moving on to public comment. It is.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Eric Kurtz, thanks for letting me comment tonight. So I want to take the opportunity to go on record about some of the ongoing issues regarding ordinance and code violations at the Berwyn Shopping Center. So I'm a resident of Midland Avenue along with my neighbor Dave here. And if you're not familiar, I'm not calling out Trader Joe's, but the property is where the Trader Joe's just went in. And it's adjacent to a number of residential properties, and going on at least the 5 years that I've lived there now, just been dozens and dozens and dozens of particularly noise issues overnight. Trash pickup, dumpsters, things of that nature, litany of other things. I have a whole list. If you're interested, I hope you are. I can pass that along to you. I reached out to both the property manager as well as the township, the various zoning managers over the years, probably as long as 4 years ago. So everybody involved is very, very aware of the issues. Again, dozens of noise complaints have been called in, not just by myself, the surrounding residents over the years as well. And I think we're at the point where there's maybe an inability or an unwillingness to enforce some of the stuff that's going on. And quite frankly, it's a quality of life issue, right, for the residents that live within earshot of this property. So just wanted to, again, go on record and hope that we can find some lasting, well, immediate enforcement, but then lasting resolution to smooth some of this over. Dave, did I go mention anything?
No, from a high level, folks, I've been in Midland Avenue for almost 20 years. I'm a longtime resident of that spot. My mother before me. Let me just start off by saying, first of all, my name is David Warlick. I'm at 14 Midland for the record. Second, it's not like we're not getting help or assistance at times, right? Unfortunately, a lot of those restaurants in that shopping center feel the need to do maintenance, cleanings of kitchens, power washing, whatever it is they think they need to do well after hours. VQ is a prime example. Unfortunately, I have had to call the non-emergency line to get the police out there. We've had police out there numerous times over the last 15 years, not like it's a crime, but it just off the top of my head. The property manager in and of itself, now it's wintertime, it's a little different story. Come spring, summer, fall, there's a machine that runs around that shopping center in the middle of the night doing a street sweep. The guy's got the radio at the top of its volume. He gets out, uses a leaf blower, on top of, before it was CVS. CVS's dumpsters were getting cleared at 4:45 in the morning. That thankfully, Trader Joe's has a compactor. That doesn't happen that early.
But not with the other businesses. That's
not with the other businesses. Some they're not as early, but it's the CVS one used to be a huge problem. I don't have young kids anymore like he does. I have dogs. I think that the scope of that shopping center has changed over the years, and I don't think that the property owner has kind of scaled with it. I know they put up a fence like 10 years ago. That fence did nothing but increase my walk from what used to be CVS to now Trader Joe's. It doesn't block any light. It doesn't block any headlights. It blocks no sound. I think that we want to start a dialogue at the public level at this point to try to get some sort of resolution. I know I sent an email to somebody at the township before the zoning hearing board asking that if they would consider bringing the sidewalk up to code before they even approved the signage and all the stuff that they had to approve for that building, and nothing really happened. The property owner power washed the sidewalk. They didn't fix the cracks and the divots and the massive tripping hazards. And quite honestly, the snow removal from what I'll call the horseshoe at Midland and Eastwood, from that point down Eastwood, down behind Trader Joe's, never gets shoveled. The stormwater off that shopping center has, at one point, was fixed. There were pebbles and rocks and mitigation for the water that was running off there. That has far exceeded the lifespan of whatever mitigation they were doing. Rocks and stuff flood down onto that sidewalk. It's unusable. Now, I know not a lot of streets in the village have usable sidewalks. It's just par for the course for the age of the area. I understand that, but that sidewalk from Lancaster Avenue all the way down is not used, and it's so not used that people walk in the street because of it. As the traffic has increased to Trader Joe's, that becomes a huge problem. The kids coming home from school and all the travel that comes up and down that road. It's always been a cut through. It's even more of a cut through now. There's a laundry list of things that we're hoping to get on your radar and have some dialogue with over the next couple of weeks and months, and hopefully find some sort of resolution of some kind.
Thank you. Appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
You're gonna send us the list, is that right?
We can send you many lists.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me when, where you want that list sent, I'll put it together for you.
It's emails on the website.
Yeah, we just email all the entire board.
Okay,
Yeah.
will do.
That'd be great. Thank you.
One last thing, and it's separate from the Trader Joe's. I've been busy with work and some other things, and I have not been able to attend a lot of these meetings recently. Why did it take so long for the property owner at 4 Midland to board up the building after it was vandalized? That building has sat there with windows broken over almost the whole summer. Why is this stuff only taken care of when people complain about it, or is there any kind of proactive approach to property code enforcement?
This is the
The former handle site.
Yeah, I mean, it's the red brick building that used to be the Lucas Barber Shop was heavily vandalized
I can tell you, it's
over the
not,
summer.
not always front and center, but the staff and I have been working on enforcement diligently with that site. And some of the reason that the debris got removed and things have gotten covered up is because of the township staff efforts.
Okay, no, I just didn't understand why it took so long. I didn't have time to read it out.
It's procedurally complicated, and a lot of times it's helpful to be the squeaky wheel before an enforcement action, which sends everyone to their corners.
Yeah.
So
I know the property on Woodside was a problem for many, many years, and Easttown had a hard time dealing with that property.
Yes.
I understand all that, so I was just curious. That was just my kind of personal
and
little.
staff is regularly keeping an eye on things.
Okay.
On that site.
And I think all the issues were resolved. They might not have been resolved real fast. And some of that is because it takes a while. We're looking for compliance, not. We don't want to be right. We want to get the right thing done. And so sometimes that involves us with protracted efforts at the property owner to get the things resolved.
It seemed like a long time though.
Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for bringing this up and bringing this to our attention. I appreciate it. Is there any public comment? Before we go to announcements, I just wanted to say also, I know we recognized our public works, but I also want to recognize our police and fire for, I know there was a lot of accidents and issues during that storm, so thank you for all that you do.
I'll pass it on.
Moving on to announcements. So announcements, you can go online and see when our different groups will be meeting. Doesn't look like there's any additional things. The next supervisors meeting is on March 16th at 7 p.m. We'll be meeting afterwards for an exec session that will deal with HR, legal
And litigation.
Yeah, we'll
litigation.
update you on a few things.
Okay, great. Is there a motion to adjourn? Adjourn.